Test, test, is this thing on? Server restart in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Server Restart In. It's a World of Warcraft podcast with three opinionated peons who get together to discuss the current state of the game and any news and events and other topics related to it. My name is Jim, and I'm joined by Kristen.
Hi.
And Brian.
Hello.
And this week we're going to go ahead and discuss some of the latest news about World of Warcraft, which is the Shadowlands release date. So they announced the release date, November 23rd, the Monday/Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And
Which is basically where we guesstimated it would be at.
I'm doing the Tina thing from Bob's Burgers.
That's not the Tina thing. That's just you.
Oh.
So the pre-patch event's going to start on November 10th, and I guess the first raid, Castle Denathria, will be out December 8th, which is approximately 2 weeks to get leveled and geared up for
That's
raiding.
normal.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't pay attention to
They gave you 2 weeks.
to that stuff. So,
Yeah.
but so I figured it'd be about a month, and it was about a month.
I think it's too soon.
Well, it's funny because if you saw there, the Ian Hazawazawada whatever said something about he responded to somebody that was talking about kind of or alluding to why it delayed, and basically it was all about the timing of these release dates between raiding and then mythic raiding, and then the timing of testing needed for in-game content. So it's funny is that it didn't even really sound like they were talking about more of a focus on bug fixes, such as we suggested like a couple weeks ago.
No, I mean, they initially
still bugs in beta.
Well, there were still bugs, and they've been working on them, but they also
right, but that
much
wasn't necessarily the pushback as to why.
Well, no, I think initially when they said that they were delaying the release, that it was related to tuning and end game stuff, right?
Yeah, they did.
So,
I just tend not to believe like any companies when they say that they're doing something for a reason that they're doing things. I have an inherent distrust of companies that they're always trying to spin things, and they're always trying to I don't think there's a truthful company out there that's not trying to spin something for their own gain. So, that's just me. When they said they're doing it for one thing, I just don't believe them. But that's on me. That's just me,
Yeah.
Well, either way, I think it landed right exactly where we probably guesstimated it would be, even if we didn't agree one way or the other. I think that's exactly where we thought it was going to be. So,
and I think a lot of people thought that maybe they were going to be working on, major overhauls to systems, which they've done some overhauling because they reworked the Soulbind system, because before it was like a weekly reset to be able to respec your Soulbinds, and they changed it to a charge system to where it takes one charge to move something around, and you get charges one per day. It'll build up a charge, or anytime you get a new Soulbind. So if you get something new, you're automatically going to get at least one charge if you want to put it in, right?
Do those just
They stack at 10.
Okay, so if you don't use them by 10, then they just are capped at 10.
Right, they're capped at 10. But hey buddy. All right. I'm going to introduce you guys to Battle Cat. He is loud and wants to sit in my lap. But yeah, so it's a cap at 10 point system, because I don't know if you even, I think 10 is less than the amount of Soulbinds you have.
You only have 3, don't you? Like, is the Soulbinds
you have 3 Soulbinds, I guess, but
conduits.
It's the conduits. It's not Soulbind. It's the conduit respecking stuff. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Which, if you go back and listen to all the stuff, I've said a lot of things that are wrong.
I mean, we all have.
Yeah.
We're not right about a lot of stuff.
It's basically the Covenant talent system. Brian, what are you doing?
This is going over my head. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I haven't seen or read anything about it. So
Okay. Well, I mean, so I think people are expecting them to just scrap everything and start over. Like, there's a lot of the people in that camp that think that, well, they need to pull the ripcord or whatever they're talking about, which it's not going to happen. It's like, this is the system they want. They're going to listen to the player base, get feedback on it, and they are making some concessions.
You got to consider that they revamped Azerite armor, like what, the first major patch?
Well, a lot of people felt that was too late.
It was,
right.
Of course it is, but they're responding to
every
kind of on the fly. So.
Every subsequent system that they put into the game after Azerite power was a way to fix Azerite power, to prop it up, to make it better. Like all of the essences, all of that stuff was a way to kind of make up for Azerite power being like bad. Like a way to like fix it, but
well,
I don't know.
That may be, but at least it seems like they've potentially learned the lesson, and after play testing and player feedback, they didn't just completely change it, but they did make some concessions, right? You could call that a compromise. Compromise is the word I'm looking for.
How many conduits are in a soulbind?
I would say maybe 13, but
40.
You're gonna have.
So you're gonna change things around based on you might have a different. So say you're a raider, but you also want to do your Mythic Plus, right? Or do Mythic Plus, but your spells are different for those, right? You have to choose your days, I guess, based on when you raid and when you Mythic Plus. Based on some of the spells that you want to use, if you want to use different ones, because So we raid on Tuesday and Thursday, so we're not going to want to do a Mythic Plus.
It's not going to bother
until
me.
After Thursday. No, I know, but I'm just saying until after Thursday, where we could just switch it and then not have to worry about it until the next week.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That all depends on the conduits, because some conduits aren't necessarily spell specific, right? They're not necessarily going to benefit one spell that you would use in Mythic Plus content versus raid content. Some of them are just going to be kind of like general boosts, right? And maybe you want to swap it out, maybe you don't. Maybe there are certain conduits that no matter what kind of content you're doing are just overall pretty good and it's not worth changing. So if you're only having to change one, and if you wanted to do something and you either manage your resources, because if you raid one night, okay, well, I'm not doing Mythic Pluses on a raid night because I'm going to get locked up in some of that. So I'll do it the next day, change it, and then the next day, you're going to get, at least one charge back. Plus, if you get some of that stuff as a loot, I don't know if it's guaranteed to get something like that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't know. I haven't looked at them. I don't know if it's going to be something that you're going to want to flip around like you do talents, like if it's going to be that much of a change between effectiveness.
I think that they really did a disservice though to people who play alternate specs of the same class this expansion. Like, it is not alternate spec friendly. It's alt friendly, but not alternate spec friendly. Like that, the fact that you have the same soul binds and they don't. You
can change your soul bind in a rest area, so you can pick whichever one's active different. So you could have them spec different for different specs and or content.
If you want the same soul bind for, say, you're playing Frost and Unholy, and you want to use the same soul bind, you're not. But you need different things for it or different conduits for it. You're not able to do that easily. That's your, 7 charges or whatever, and. Yeah, it's just that's very
again.
frustrating.
I don't know how many of the conduits are necessarily spec specific. I don't know if it's like going to be a majority of them or just a minority of them.
Sure.
If it's only a few of them, it's not as punishing to make that change if you need to.
But if I'm tanking on a Bear Druid for a Mythic Plus, but then doing DPS in Raid, I'm not going to want to have that extra stamina for the raid when it could be best used as a potency thing where I am getting extra DPS. You know what I mean? So that's I don't know. It's just it feels bad.
I mean, I don't
That's
know. I don't know how it feels because I haven't messed with it, and honestly, that kind of stuff never really bothers me. You know, there's going to be limitations in the game, and I just deal with it. Right? If it's too punishing to do it, I won't change. You know, how long did it take me to actually start playing Unholy? This last raid set. It was only because we weren't making progress on Hivemind, and Unholy was supposed to be pretty much god tier when it comes to AoE stuff. So, all right, fine, I'll give it a shot, you know? And it's just, I don't know.
I just think just because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean it doesn't affect other people.
I still have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, so I'm just hanging out. I don't. Oh.
Well, we know
I can't have an opinion on something I don't understand, so.
Well, we know we're that much closer, and it's getting ready to start, and I'm looking...
I think the point overall that I wanted to make out of that whole conversation was the fact that, one, we know they fuck up. Two, we also know that they fix it reasonably quickly enough, or they try to mend it in a way to make it doable, right? Because chances are, yes, so they make shitty systems, but when you're in a smaller development team where you're making decisions or you're trying to create fun out of something, you're just not going to get the same response you get from a million players. Like, that just is what it is. So they bring out a shitty system, they try to patch it to make the kids feel better, and that's we should be lucky to have that, because at one point in time, you know, they didn't fix shit like that quickly to that degree.
Yeah,
you know?
but then you have the argument, it's like, why are they putting these systems in to begin with? Which...
Because it's a fucking 15, 14, 16, 16-year-old game.
Don't yell at me.
I'm just saying, like, it's like marriage. You got to keep it fresh, or like,
No.
what are you doing?
I mean, they're trying things out. They're trying to, you know, make it different.
The problem is it's a fucking computer game. There's always going to be the best situation, right? It's never going to be real life where you're always going to be not equal, right? Because I'm sorry, the game is set up so that they can balance it between everybody, regardless of the class that you play, to a certain degree with respect to certain roles and responsibilities. Where real life is not like that, right? You dealt the hands that you get, and it is what it is. In that game, you know, they're always going to be looking for that perfect situation, and like I would hope that they're not developing games for that situation. That people that want to go to that extra 14 miles, you know, like you guys do, kind of. You find your way at that point, and then they target this group right here, right, from the super duper casual all the way to the, you know, I raid for 2 months out of the patch,
All right,
and then I peace out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. It's like they can't focus on just one subset of the thing. They try to make something that's general enough to appeal to a majority. And
yeah, because they tried to appease to the whole population, the complete population. They've tried to appease to that, right? Resilience is a great example of that.
Was that a
you remember Resilience when it came
PvP.
out in BC?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the stat, the great normalizer for PvP.
Mm-hmm.
So when PvP first came out in arenas and stuff in BC, the very first season, everybody had car gear, and you just went into arena and you fucking stomped people. If you had raid gear, you won.
Yeah.
Even down to twos. Once they had resilience on PvP gear at a reasonable level, which I think was after the first content patch, then it started to get really stupid. I mean, like out of the fantasy completely, where, you know, cloth people could take hits they shouldn't be able to take. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And the whole point was they're trying to appease a majority rather than, you know, keep it here and let you crazy people scale out the way you want to, right? You'll find a way, and then don't worry about this section because that don't matter either. And focus on your target.
Finds a way.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but no, I mean, I think the good thing is overall is that the game comes out in 4 weeks?
Yeah, probably slightly less than that.
A little less than 3, or a little more than 3 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
3 weeks from Monday?
Yes, and
oh wait,
a week from Tuesday will be the Scourge event start.
Yeah.
Which that will be interesting. So that means it's only 2 weeks. Yes. Yes, I can math. 2 weeks of
Yeah.
the event, so it'll be interesting.
Which is great, because that's another thing that we talked about, was having to fucking wait. Remember, because it's one piece comes out and another piece comes out the next week.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna scale it out like that, or if they do like midweek stuff. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I hope it's not a week. That'd be boring. But
Well, there's a lot of stuff to go farm.
I have a lot of alts to gear up with that gear.
Well, not only that, but there's gonna be some of the bosses and stuff, or like the rares that are gonna go out there, are gonna have, I think, high res versions of the gear they dropped in wherever they're from.
really,
I think so.
what?
Maybe, I don't know. It would be nice if it was high res stuff, because
Are you guessing? Are you?
I thought
Guessing.
I thought I read something about that. I think I
that
read.
would be
I think I
awesome.
read a lot of things, right? I don't know.
No, I got you.
I mean, because you're gonna have those. And I don't know if they're gonna be limited to Ice Crown or.
Well, before they had
Northwind.
currency. They had currency with the Argent Dawn when they had that event. So I imagine they're going to have that again, because it was just like tokens last time.
Well, that's the Scourge event, but like I'm talking about like loot drops from the rares,
Oh, I see.
because you're gonna have different, several different bosses from different Northrend, either raids or dungeons that are Lich King related, that are gonna be loose, because in addition to the Scourge resurging because the Helm of Domination is destroyed, those things are gonna be gone. And I guess we never really killed them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you think about it, okay, it's Bolvar. He's not out there raising more Scourge, right? Can we just go ahead and deplete? Is the event to finish off the Scourge? I mean,
I don't know, because the Anubarkar, the Nubarath or whatever, is that what they're called?
Nubarat?
Well, I mean the race.
Spideys?
Oh,
Because the Nubarak was one of the bosses, but I think like
the
that whole
Nerubian.
yeah, I guess it is just Nerubian. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a race, right? And they're not necessarily like they lived under Northrend, right? But I don't know if they're technically undead. I think they were just in the service of the Lich King.
Yeah, no, they weren't dead.
So them as a
No, he
race,
just convinced them to, because they had a whole, like, their whole empire is technically all the way underneath Northrend. It's not just like
yeah.
Dragonblight in the game. I think even Warcraft 3 or something like that, they talked about how it spanned the whole continent. So
Yeah. Well, that's why,
But-
like in Borean Tundra, when you're going and you're planting the Sephorium mines,
Yeah.
they pop out and all that stuff. Like you know where you have to go find Jenny the mule.
I hate that one.
So
And lead her back.
there's like the tar pits where the gnome people crash, and you have to collect junk from there. And then like in that shadow, or you have to get like the caribou hides.
And you
and
have to steam them
steam
over
it over
the
the vent.
Yeah.
Like that whole area that's next to Tonka Village, that's like just like waiting pools. Like there's the mecha gnome area and all that stuff. Anyway, you do some quests there, and like the spiders are coming up and all that stuff, and you have to kill them. So I mean,
oh yeah, you got to blow up the holes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
yeah,
You got to
and
do that at the Warsong Hold too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because they're
Yes.
all around Warsong Hold. I'm trying to think. In Venom Spite, do you do it? No. I'm trying to think over, because I want to say they're in everything.
Yes, there's another spot. It's out on the beach. It's out on the beach. You got to do it there too.
Is it on the Alliance side?
Oh, it's probably Alliance actually.
I think it is.
Well, yeah. So I mean, they're everywhere. So I mean, they did a pretty good job of spreading that out. Now I don't know. We don't fight any of them in like the old continents, do we? The closest thing is in Celthus, but I don't know if those are technically the same.
Maybe
I don't think they are,
in
are they?
the Plaguelands.
Okay, yeah, probably in the Plaguelands, because that was a site of the Lich King invasion.
Hmm.
So it would make sense that Arthas would have brought them down, because that's where like Hearthglen and all that stuff was during the Death Knight starting area, which I still need to go see if that still exists.
You mean you did all your Death Knights? And
They're way past that point. They were all 110 when 9.0 dropped. So I'll make an old one and see if like you can still do like the Death Knight starting area.
Dude, I digress a little bit, but
Wait, what, on this podcast? Don't you?
no, not at
dare.
all, never. We started. My son and I started leveling. I started Warlock and we did Legion. I've not done the Warlock Legion class quest, whatever.
Oh, it's pretty neat.
And then so you're on that Mardoon looking place for demonology, and all I'm doing is just dotting everything and just running off.
Yeah.
And it instantly kills them for one at level 10, and then they still drop like expensive trash loot too. So just the trash loot that I had by the time I'm close to being done with that quest line, like 50 gold worth of trash. Which I don't think I got gold that quickly on my rogue when I was leveling him up, like a week or two ago. So I was very interested. It's almost like stuff maybe scaled weird at that level for those areas.
It could be
because they use some sort of algorithm to determine how to scale up and down. There's no way that, and they do it based on item level and creature level and stuff like that. But that tuning, I'm wondering if there's like a hiccup in the,
or just something that just like threw it off a little bit for specific things.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't know.
It was really interesting because I'm like, I think I'm getting more than what I should, but I'm going to go ahead and farm them. So I just keep dotting everything I found. It was pretty cool.
Warlocks are fun. Affliction warlocks are fun.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping. I really want to level one more thing. So I did enjoy leveling, the new leveling, starting an allied race. It was relatively straightforward. I didn't feel like I was bogged down. I didn't feel like I was jumping around as much as I was before when I was trying to level. And even bounced out of Legion and went over to BFA because I wanted to get my rep up while the double rep bonus was out. So
right.
So
that wasn't painful at all. So
when you say you weren't bouncing around, is it just because you were doing chromie time and you were able to stay in one like story path?
Yeah, compared to like
hitting the max area and then getting out.
Right, yeah. So no, it feels really good, and I really want to do one more character before the expansion comes out. So I like the dates. I like the timeline going forward because it works out really well. Rating's gonna kind of suck between mid-December and late December just because
the holiday stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
When did you say Mythic was coming out? Was it a week or two weeks
after? January 8th or something like that?
It's a week after.
Mythic?
A week after regular. Oh, yeah, so it's December 15th. Regular comes out 8th. Mythic comes out the 15th.
Of December.
December?
It's fast.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, we won't be doing it, I don't think, right away.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm thinking of the people for World First.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
They'll probably have it done December 16th.
Maybe.
There's only 8 bosses, and they'll probably...
Only 8 bosses.
I mean, some of those people do those things really fast.
Yeah.
How many were in Nylofa?
12. 12 bosses.
Yeah. That'd be all right. But no, it's really good. It's a really good timeline. I'm ready.
No, it hits most people's vacations, at least for the start of it. So maybe they chose that in particular to kind of make it so that people didn't have to take off as much time. Kind of like as like a silent sorry for screwing some people out of vacation. I don't know. Maybe that's just, reading too much into the dates or whatever. But because, that is like 3 days before Thanksgiving. So
let's talk about the story trailer, if you don't mind. The one thing that was on my mind about that was, so some of the imagery looks familiar from like the in-game cinematic that came out. I think the Anduin and the Bane.
You mean the Dark Abduction stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the shot with Thrall too.
Mm.
So did you have a good look at Sylvanas?
Yeah, she was in her jailer armor.
She is decked out, and she's got some cute detail going on there. And I thought, like,
what do you mean by cute detail?
Well, she's got like the scar from
Sourfang.
Yeah,
from the
Makarov. Yeah. Red. She's got the hood with the skull, which I don't know if that's reflective of what she was wearing before or not. But
no, because if you think back to the in-game cinematic, the Dark Abduction one, when Bolvar's talking about how she came for the power, for herself, but she destroyed it and all that stuff. In that scene, she's wearing like her normal, like in-game outfit. So that's after.
Well, she's very like, we talked lore-wise, we talked about maybe her having an interesting arc in this expansion that continues her evil ways, but actually she turns out maybe in some positive role, which I don't think anybody really wants.
Oh,
I don't mind. I would love to have it, but most people don't want it for whatever reason. And it's really unfortunate because this is really the only expansion that she's kind of been a shithead, BFA.
No.
Well, okay, so she did the play. What she did the play in?
Yeah, Gilneas.
Well, yeah, but fuck the wolf.
But she had like she had reasons why still.
I mean,
like the burning of the Teldrassil, it's a bad reason. The flip side to everything else was trying to sustain the Forsaken. So
yeah, but trying to sustain the Forsaken by making more Forsaken
is the only way to build up your population.
I mean, yeah, that's not a good thing.
Which I don't know. I guess when you think about it, maybe that rolls back to the idea of trying to sustain the Forsaken is based on
breaking the cycle of death.
Yeah, I mean,
the
only reason that she would want to sustain the Forsaken, because what's her goal? Like, what can she actually get out of anything right now? You know,
I don't know. I don't think the burning of Teldrassil was necessarily a planned strategy, right? I think it was a snap decision that she made based on the conversation with Silvermoon, is the name of the elf, who basically told her that you can't kill Hope, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, really? And like,
watch me.
Because in the Warbringers, or was it the in-game cinematic, or was it the Warbringers one? I don't know, whichever one it was, you just see like, she's like all like high and mighty and confident, and then this dying night elf says something to her, and like you can just see her face like drops, right? And like she's no longer sure. So now she's gonna be like, fine, I'll show you. I'll, one up things, crank it to 11 kind of thing. So I don't think she was necessarily going to do that. I think she wanted to take it, and I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I think people don't want to see her get a redemption arc, because I think people consider that cliche, maybe. And like, here
I don't know, because her story stretches like so many expansions, though. Like, that's the cool thing about it, is that this is something they planted, like, at least that you can come back to pretty quickly in Legion, when she was bouncing around and you had really kind of no idea what she was doing for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was Stormheim.
Yeah,
and Helheim, and
yeah, and so that's like, it seems shitty if they're just gonna like turn around and turn her into some bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it's like what's his face, Nathanos. Everybody fucking hates Nathanos, and I'm not sure why. Because
he's an
like
asshole.
I said before,
he is. He's a little freaking whipped, little freaking.
But they have such a
I can't blame him.
They have a very interesting like flip side relationship.
But do they? I mean, because
it's more of like a Bonnie and Clyde thing, I guess. It's more
but not really though, because of the way that like
the way she treats him.
Yeah, I mean, the way she treats him is not as an equal partner. He is a tool, literally. He is. He's a tool. I mean, if you look at the
I mean, it's not like they're going to break off and go make love or something.
Well, no, but I mean...
He's devoted to her, so he's still holding on. Right. Well, in the book, Shadows Rising,
but he was originally too, though, when they were alive.
Right, no. When they were alive, I think they actually had
a connection.
Alluded
to,
I don't know if it was romantic or not.
They had a relationship.
Yeah, they had a relationship.
Right. But I think after she died and... He's always been around. She gave him a new body and all that stuff. I don't know if it was because his old body was just completely destroyed and just like...
If you go by the game, it was terrible.
It was terrible. It was
terrible.
Like a regular undead.
It was it was a regular undead.
But I think she doesn't carry the same feelings or emotions
That she
in
did when she was
undeath
alive.
that she did when she was alive. But he still maintains that devotion, and he does not want to disappoint her, right? And like in Shadows Rising, there's that whole thing where he's dealing with the blood trolls and all that stuff. Like, oh, we need the something precious kind of thing, and he gives her that locket, right?
Yeah.
Which
He
is
feels
which
remorse over it.
what's that?
He felt remorse over it.
Well, but he gave it willingly because it was something valuable to him. But the fact that he still had it
Right.
is indicative of him actually having more of that emotion left in him. As hard as he tries to hide it, right? You know, he's got the devotion. He's gonna do whatever she wants because of all that stuff. And so he's got this keepsake to remind him of her, obviously.
I think that should be something that drops from him.
He doesn't have it
Doesn't he?
anymore.
Didn't he give it? But didn't he? Did they?
I don't think he took it back. I think
thought
they
he took
took
it
it
back.
to do the ritual. I don't know if he got it back. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know.
I don't know. That would be neat if he did. I don't remember either. But
But
It'd
yeah,
be interesting if you took it to the Shadowlands and then like randomly
Yeah.
got slayed by her.
And she had-
and she took it.
but that's just it, though. She doesn't have seemingly any type of reciprocation for that
right.
in him, right? He is her servant.
Yeah.
You know, he is her great. You know, she's like the general, and he's like, you know, like the
Soldier.
captain and lieutenant or whatever. Sure, he's high ranking. Sure, he is afforded some autonomy in like the choices he makes and the decisions he does, but ultimately he's nothing more than a subordinate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that dynamic where there's not a reciprocation of that devotion, of that adoration, respect, even because in the book, when he fails with all the Bwansamdi shit, he pretty much gets banished. You know, it's not directly said, but she basically says, you know, go to
Well,
your...
no. He's the one that takes off and says, "I'm not." He didn't say it, but he alluded to being ashamed, not being able to do it, and he felt like shit. And he said he's gonna go recoup at whatever the homestead thing. And she said, "Don't dilly dally for too long. We got shit to do."
I thought she told him to remain there until she came for him.
Maybe she did.
I could be misremembering that.
I thought it was him that was like, "Oh, I fucked up," and she's like, "Well, don't be too long,or something like that." I don't know.
I got the
remembering it wrong.
impression that he was basically sent to his room to think about what he did. But
I
that
don't remember it like that, because I remember more along the lines of like, it is what it is. Because I mean, you got to think back too. Like, she got the fucking lantern and then she broke it immediately.
she didn't break it. Gen broke it.
I know.
Okay.
She got it and it broke immediately. Sorry. So it's not like she's not a stranger to fucking big ass mistakes.
Right.
And I think based on some of the buildup they did around the short story around getting his new body and stuff like that, they've built up that relationship underneath to show how they interrelate, aside from being the higher ranking versus lower, because she was higher ranking than he was in life as well, because he was a human and she was an elf anyways.
Well, yeah, she was the commander and he was just a ranger, but yeah.
I think they did a better job showing how her feelings had changed as illustrated with her sisters. So, how she wanted to bring her sisters into undeath with her so she wouldn't be alone, essentially.
Well, I think that's more of an example of how her, I don't want to say personality, but like
mental
her
state?
evolution into undeath. That's the difference there.
Right.
Where there's just no care in the world. But in this case where they're already both, well, she went back to fish him up when he was a crazed scourge, and then got him to that point with his new body and stuff like that. So she went back to find him, right? Like, the saying that there's a relationship there that's important, I think, for the Forsaken in general, that kind of underlines like why I think she really shouldn't be just thrown into the garbage.
Oh no, I don't think she should be either. I think that you got a character that's been around since Warcraft 2, 3. Was she in Warcraft 2? I don't know. She was definitely in 3 because that's when she became the Banshee. But you have this character that has this entire story. Just don't make it some stupid ending.
I don't know how they could possibly redeem her, other than something ending with her actual permanent death and her saving the world with that permanent death. You know what I mean? Like the things that she's done, the death that and destruction that she's caused, it's too pervasive.
What if?
Or if it's like a situation where she can become the new jailer.
Right.
What if what she does, all the death that she has caused, what if her end game ends up, feeding this power into the jailer, but ends up destroying the Maw and just returning everybody that's died back? Like the Scourge get turned back, or like everybody, like this, all the Scourge, all the Forsaken, all the dead at Teldrassil, what if they all just come back? What if that's like the end game?
That would be an insane redemption.
Yeah. I mean, but still, she's taken away people's homes, like with Teldrassil, and
yeah, but I mean, you can replace
all those people come back to
home.
life on this burn
and they've got right. Like unless the tree comes back to life too,
maybe I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that would be a little bit of a stretch.
Sure, it would be
for
a
that
stretch
to happen.
Sure,
that's
sure, but it's a fantasy world, right?
Sure.
You could have something.
No, you're
happen.
right. I mean, we really do need a far-fetched ending to this story.
It would have
She
to be.
would need something that is super dramatic, super out there, right? To be a fitting end to her storyline if it is truly going to end.
I mean, because she's already killed herself once.
I mean,
well,
so
also remember that we have, since Legion, we have segued into the next expansion. So there's a chance that we're going to continue, right? So WAD ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, well, shit, I don't know. Oh no, okay, WAD started it.
Yeah, because the Alt Gul'dan came over to the Broken Shore to open the tomb.
Yeah.
So what was before Mist? Mist was before that.
Mm-hmm.
Cataclysm. Yeah, Mist didn't really have a direct tie-in. But Mist,
it did.
It
did.
Well, the Gul'dan
from Cataclysm
Garage.
For Cataclysm to Mist, I mean, right?
Oh,
Cataclysm kind of ended, and then all of a sudden, there's a
new continent
floating out there that somehow came out because I guess indirectly the Cataclysm brought the turtle out or whatever, and
did it? Was that the story? I don't remember.
I think so. I don't vaguely remember. But yes, Mist directly went into WAD.
Well, if it did, Lich King didn't go into Cataclysm. Because I don't think there's anything about...
No, because all you had all of a sudden was the elements started going nuts, and
Deathwing
and Deathwing came out.
Exploding again, yeah. So
right. I don't think anything in Lich King directly correlated to that. The only thing that maybe could have was killing Yogg-Saron and basically pissing off N'Zoth and having him ramp shit up against Deathwing. Right?
So for shits and giggles, let's just go ahead and say that it started with Mists, because we know for sure that segue into each additional expansion has started since then.
Right.
And that's, that was expansion number 4. And then WAD, Legion, BFA, and now into Shadowlands. So when you consider where this has to potentially go in the end, and pivot into the next one, like a story has to end, and it's most likely going to be her story, right? And some level of defeat with what's his name, I don't know, something like that. But that has to pivot at some point into what's going to come next. And from this direction, like, who can say what the hell is next? I mean, what do we really have left?
There's the whole cosmos. right?
Well, what I'm saying, like, so there's what the Void Lords and stuff like that
Yeah, which
that's
is
associated.
that's pretty much
It's the
Endgame.
Void in general, like
The Void and the Light, the Naru, the cycle that they go through, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't know. There's just a lot there. Like this, one of these stories has to end, and another one kind of has to begin, just like it's done every single time. So,
But if she were to become the jailer, it would kind of suck, right? Because now all of a sudden,
and that too. I mean, what is it? What does it mean to be the jailer? I mean, I don't know yet. In his case, like, why is he the jailer? Why isn't the maw just a toilet that they go throw shit into? Right? Why is there going to be somebody in charge of it? Or whatever it may be, right? I don't know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know if there's any value to saying that, but I think the point here is so that, like,
it would just suck for that, because 2 expansions ago, in Legion, we had another major lore character end up as a jailer. Illidan stayed to keep Sargeras jailed at the seat of the Pantheon, right?
Mm-hmm.
He stayed behind. Now, is he just there to basically be like, I'm not letting you leave? Or is he there just to kind of, poke Sargeras with his thing, going, ha, ha, ha? Yeah, it's like, what's he doing? Who knows? I mean, they're locked away.
Here's your tray of food.
Somehow. I mean, how are they locked away? I don't know. What magic's keeping them away?
And that too, what is the maw? At this point, everything that I've read, it tells me the maw is like where everything ends up. Right now, everything is ending up there, right? But before that, it would have been everything that's bad, or judged not suited to be redeemed, right? Would be there. So that seems to be the end all be all. So
if
does that mean that they just go there and that's a bucket, or they go there and they get, like,
it's hell.
melted down?
I mean, it sounds like it's akin to hell, right? Like you have several different layers of potential heavens or nirvanas or whatever you want to call them, where you can go through whatever it is. In Bastion, you can ascend. In Revendreth, you atone for your sins. In Maldraxxus, you are protecting the Shadowlands. I don't know. And then in Ardenweald, I think you potentially are reborn. At least, that was the impression that we get from, like, the Wild God stuff, right? Like, they sleep and then they go back, kind of thing, potentially. But the Maw is basically like, if you're just a piece of shit, they flush you down there, and that's basically your hell, right? You're there for eternity. You don't get out, and you just suffer.
Welcome to the sewer.
Yeah, it's...
So, I mean, if that's the case, then, and if it can be undone or whatever it may be, or like you were talking about.
Yeah, if everybody comes back to
returned.
life, then we have all those shitheads with us again.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
It's like rebooting the whole entire
World of Warcraft.
rebooted. Yeah.
And then everybody gets forced over. Everybody gets forced over to the classic servers, and we start all over.
Oh my god.
It's okay. So
Wow.
I don't know if
That'd
anybody.
be wild.
I don't know if anybody has read all of the Dark Tower series from Stephen King. It started with the Gunslinger. Basically, it's like, and it bounces around worlds and all that stuff. It's a really good book. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't read it or finished it. It basically ends with the Gunslinger getting to the Dark Tower and going up, and he basically has to face all the sins throughout his life, and he opens the door. And basically what it is he has to just keep reliving that life, right? And I guess initially it stopped there. Like, he opened the door and it started it over again. And, like, initially, I guess the readers didn't like that, so he went back and kind of added something else to, like, where it was another pivotal point in the Gunslinger's past where they were at a battle or whatever, and he had this war horn or whatever that was passed down from his father or whatever, and, like, in all the previous iterations, he had dropped it and lost it, and it was broke or whatever. But, like, so he had this other chapter where this time around, it didn't. He got to keep it, indicating that he's basically going through, all this like not reincarnation, but just this cyclical thing, and whether it's a punishment or a chance to learn. Yeah, kind of, but like he doesn't know it, kind of thing. But now there's a minor difference. If they did something like that with WoW, where everybody had to start over, but now something slightly different changes, like maybe, I don't know, Illidan doesn't become a demon hunter. And that's a big thing, but I don't know. It would be weird, and they make everybody go back to 2004 graphics.
Well, the good news is we're gonna find out soon enough.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked. I can't wait. The story, the game, getting out of just getting out of Azeroth will be nice. Well, just something different and ready for it, and the story to go along with it too.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the story. It's going to open up a lot of lore and stuff like that. It's going to expand it quite a bit.
God, I hope it explains a lot of stuff. Like, I think I've said this several times, but I just hope it explains a lot of stuff that's kind of up in the air and has been up in the air for a while. So,
I don't know if they fixed it, but I would definitely go out of your way to look for all of the quests in a zone before you leave the zone.
I think they've addressed the experience issue.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. I haven't played it.
Some people are wondering if the
I thought you meant lore-wise.
No, I just meant because the experience, they did some crappy things with the experience, and you didn't have enough quests to get up to 60. And if you had skipped some, and if you went back to those areas, it gave you very minimal XP in those areas.
I did read they adjusted XP from 50 to 60.
They fixed it, but I'm just saying it's just a friendly.
Well, they are releasing the game, so I hope so.
Some people were wondering because the experience buff goes through the end of November.
Yeah,
and they were wondering if that's gonna carry over to Shadowlands content. I bet they have a way to disable that because
they already said it ends
at the end, November 30th, right? Or are they ending it early?
No, they moved it. They moved it to the 22nd.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Never mind. I missed that. So much for reading WoW news and all that stuff. And being kept abreast.
I randomly came across that. I don't remember where it was at though.
I've been trying to level a paladin as Rhett, and I made a Zandalari paladin, and I'm sitting in Legion, and I'm just like, I don't really want to do this again.
Yeah.
She's like, I got too many characters.
It's funny because I had to, even starting an other character again, because right now, like, playing other games and stuff, I'm just kind of on the hiatus mode for the most part.
Me too.
Since the rep is ending, like, I probably will just dally, a little bit until the patch comes out. But for the most part, like, I really didn't want to play. And then we got on and played a little bit, and then it kind of sucked me in again. So, I think that's another testament to the level squish and stuff. I mean, I think they did really a good job because it feels great. It really does.
Yeah, it was really weird being a level 10 paladin and just like one or two shotting things.
Even watching dungeons with people that are level 10 to 20 in high level dungeons, it's just so fantastic, man. It really is. It's pretty cool. It really feels like it gets more back to that idea that you exist, right? You're not necessarily gated to the content. You know what I mean? Like it's removing that abstraction between you, a character in that world, with the sitting in front of technically what is your character, right? Because before you're gated up to that point, and now you're just that person that can go there and be a part of that action, and I like that. I like that a lot.
I don't know, it feels weird stepping into Wrath of the Lich King expansion at level 10.
Yeah,
it feels
even
weird.
BFA, like, I think it's great. I think it's so cool, especially because, like, going back and taking a look at, which I'm sure it's not that way anymore, but like EverQuest, which is interesting. EverQuest is getting ready to, or they just released like their 400th freaking expansion. I don't know. They're in their 20s at this point.
I can't believe they're still releasing content.
It's crazy. But can you imagine having to level through all that stuff? Because they're set up the same way. They were expanding levels by 10 or something like that. Having to level up through all that stuff. at a certain point, they actually threw in newbie gear so that you could overpower everything for like the first 50 something levels.
Yeah.
That was some years ago, but it's very interesting though because I just like that feeling that you can jump into the action and not feel like you're weeks behind everybody else as soon as you get started. And I didn't really think I was going to like that, so it's
kind of that way
something
now,
I learned.
right? Because you can get in and you can start doing BFA once you hit level 10. So you can queue up for dungeon.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, I know, but once Shadowlands hits, then that's going to kind of drop off, right? Because most people are going to be doing Shadowlands stuff. So if you're like a new person coming in, and granted, it's not that long, a couple days of casual play maybe, and you'll be up there. But I don't know. Overall, I think it's a pretty decent leveling experience. I wish Ret Pallies had more abilities, the lower levels. Have like 2 attacks.
Yeah, that's what feels weird. Going into like Lich King, so just say Lich King, like, and you are level 10 and you have like 2 abilities. And it feels like you shouldn't be going to take on the Lich King at level 10 with 2 abilities. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like you should be progressing. You should be a little bit more progressed before you go take on the Lich King.
Yeah, your toolbox is
very
limited. And that definitely feels weird.
Yeah.
Because, and like I said, I was noticing that it's just weird. And maybe that's just a thing with being a player who's been playing the game for years. Like every time you went to go do an alt and you hit Lich King content, you had a pretty decent rotation. You had a majority of the spells, right? So you kind of were like, okay, you had more stuff to do. I find, because I've never played Ret, so I'm just trying to level like that. You get your Judgment or whatever where you throw the hammer, and then you get Crusader Strike. And you can build up to do your Holy Power attack. But your haste is so low. The GCD is just so slow. It's just like you're sitting there just waiting for shit to come up, cool down.
Yeah.
And it's just like, am I gonna get to do anything?
Yeah.
And it's weird.
I will say that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it also felt weird just not having flying on what was essentially an alt that I was leveling. And having gone through and, gotten flying, and I've already gone through that in my main character, and all my other subsequent characters that I'd gone through on all had flying. And to be level, I was level 15, and I'm like, oh man, I don't have flying. This is weird, Yeah, so that felt weird. But, I mean, I do generally like it. I mean, it's just, it's weird. Some of the things are a weird thing for me.
Well, yeah, it's not what we're used to.
What were you going to say?
I got on my 22 or 23 shaman. He used to be like 52 or something like that. And I healed freehold, and I'm pretty sure it was the tank that was trying to pull every single thing there because we had about 20 mobs at one time. But we wiped, and I bounced immediately because I'm like,
nope, I'm good.
Well, and that's here's the thing with that, right? You got people that are still queuing up for BFA dungeons. Maybe they're max level, right? And then you got a level 10 healer coming in.
Who's got one heal spell.
Yeah. People probably are not paying attention to the group. And maybe he wasn't max level. Maybe he was like in his 40s.
But he had all his stuff.
Right, but he's got a lot more stuff going on than you do. And it's just like people are forgetting that happened. And now if you queue up for a BFA normal, you're getting characters from potentially 10 to 50. That is a wide gap of available skills. You get a healer.
So they do still lock out dungeons based on level. So in your 10s, you only have 1 or 2 available.
Okay.
You don't have them all, but even freehold really wasn't that challenging of a dungeon.
Oh, it's
but
not.
Again, this guy was pulling, he pulled like at least 4 different packs.
Yeah.
So, and I kept this up quite a bit, more than I thought I was going to, but at the same time, yeah, I got fed up because I thought part of it was me, a little bit like not being able to keep up. So I peaced out.
There's no need. It's not a Mythic Plus. There's no need to pull 4 packs at a time. Like, that's kind of the mentality that people had, like before, like with think about time walking dungeons, right? Before they fixed time walking dungeons.
Oh, before the stat squish.
Yeah, people would just run in and everything, and then after, you couldn't do it. Time walking dungeons were actually challenging, and you couldn't pull all the packs up to the boss. You had to, go pack.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, the stat squish made old content like in time walking or even just like regular stuff. It's like you could not just steamroll it.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if it affected leveling, but like even when you were leveling, it may have done that too. But like, and this is the same thing. Everything's been scaled, not necessarily correctly, because things get missed, or if you just do a blanket scale on things, some things are not gonna fit that pattern correctly. Because some condition's gonna be slightly different on like one spell on one thing, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Like there's still that mob and Ice Hoof, not Ice Crown. Where's Roman? Dragonblight. It's one of the Minotaurs, right? Where you have to go fight him, and he would just fucking smoke you. But the whole point is, when he casts his ability, you need to run away, because you can't interrupt it, and if you have to run away to avoid it. But otherwise, it'll just like 1 or 2 shot you, and it's just like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
I've noticed some things or actually even undergeared max right now, some stuff is embarrassingly challenging to the point where it's like it's about 4 times longer to do world quests for me on characters that have about 30 item levels less.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It feels really bad.
I tried playing my rogue the other day, right? And admittedly, I leveled my rogue to max level, and then I got her cloak, and that was it, right? That was the extent of my playing her. And so I went out in the world to go practice subtlety again, and I was killing little things remarkably easy. I'm like, wow, I feel super OP, this is great. And then I went to kill an elite, and my health was going down just as, I had to use all of the things in my toolbox. Like there was, I was like shadow dance, as many times as I could, and, all the other, cool rogue abilities that I don't ever usually have to use. I had to use them for that. And I was like, oh man, I was just saying how OP I felt. And now Crimson Vial, I was waiting for that to come back off a cooldown. Let me tell you, I was like, dang. So I don't know. It was kind of definite. And that is definitely not a geared character, like really undergeared.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I haven't really tried with any of my other characters because I'm just waiting for them to get the gear from the pre-patch event.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun to do. I got a lot of characters to do that with.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that about wraps it up for us tonight. We went over the patch release, or the X-Pack release date, some thoughts about it, some concerns about systems and whatnot, and we talked about some of the new video content they released, including the story trailer for the jail and all that kind of stuff. And thank everybody for listening. You can check us out at our Facebook. It's facebook.com/server-restartin. That's all one word. You can send us a tweet. It's at server_restart. And we'll probably have another episode coming out next Monday, whatever your podcast service is of choice. If there's a preferred service, I guess just shoot us a message if it's not on there. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.